Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well today. Today's a little bit of a different type of video in a different spot here. Today we're on the couch, as you can see, and today we're going to be doing a talking type of video because this is going to be a new series that I'm starting. It's going to be self-help for creatives or musicians or any types of those people. I just find it weird that there are a lot of self-help YouTubers or writers who were musicians in a past life or that are current musicians, and they don't really talk about the music side of things much. You know, it's normally about a business person. It's normally about a person who works a 9 to 5, things like that. And I feel like for people who are creatives like me and, you who are watching the video here, I feel like we get underrepresented when it comes to self-help because 9 times out of 10, our schedules are really hectic. Just this week, I have so many things that I was not planning for that just kind of happen out of the blue, all these jobs and things like that. This is for people who have a little more hectic schedules, who are maybe self-employed, working as a musician, doing things like that. And today's video is going to be a video on practice. So a little about myself first. My name is Nico Zona. I am 23 years old, and I've been playing music since I was about 4 years old. I started with the violin, and I slowly but surely moved on to piano, and then I started singing. And then starting in middle school, I started playing bass guitar, and then I started playing the electric guitar, and I've just kept on going since then. I graduated last May with a music business degree, and I've started teaching private lessons, and that's pretty much my full-time job right now. I'm trying to dabble a little bit more into YouTube starting these past couple weeks, and so I've been doing that. And I also have a side project called Chasing Cities that actually has new music coming out this month, so be on the lookout for that. So let's get started with the video. Practice for me is a really interesting topic, especially because there are so many people who have so many different ways of how they practice, from how they start their practice to when they practice in the day, to what they practice and how they divide up their time. It's just an endless possibility of ways that people practice. And it's really rewarding whenever you wake up one day and you finally see the fruits of your labor from the months and the years that you've been practicing, and you finally get that breakthrough. But let's state the obvious. Practice isn't fun. It's honestly really boring whenever I have to get up in the morning and do the same things over and over and over again, starting with my warm-ups and then practicing my scales and then going into some of the same songs that I've been learning for a while, week by week. Now, don't get me wrong though. There's a lot of people who love to practice and that absolutely love the repetitiveness of getting up in the morning and doing the same thing over and over. I personally, though, am not one of those people, and I'm assuming that a lot of you who are watching this video aren't that type of person either. I personally went through a period where I was playing for a cover band, and all the songs for the cover band, I had no idea what they were, and I didn't particularly like them when I heard them the first time anyways. So I needed to sit down and bear through all of this practice that I absolutely hated. The same thing happens whenever I get hired to play weddings. Weddings most of the time have the same exact music, and it gets really boring, and I also have to grin and bear through every last bit of practice that I do. But even with all that boring practice, I had a couple methods that I used to help get myself through it. So today I've taken 5 of those methods, and I'm going to share them with you. I hope you can find every single one of these methods helpful because they've helped me tremendously through long periods of practice. But before we start today's video, please like, share, and subscribe this video, and comment down below what you think about this. This is a new type of video that I'm trying out, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys let me know how it goes. So starting with number 1, practice while entertaining yourself. This has helped me so much, especially during warm-ups. A lot of the time, I'll wake up and I have to do the most boring, tedious warm-ups to get my hands moving, to get everything going, doing my stretches, everything like that. What I do whenever I'm doing my warm-ups and a lot of my tedious work is I'll put on YouTube. Now, for you, that doesn't just have to be YouTube. It can be Netflix. It can be WWE if you want to watch some WWE matches on the network. You can even listen to some audiobooks or music on Spotify. Honestly, anything will work. Whatever motivates you to engage yourself for mindless tasks like your warm-ups and things like that. And honestly, most days I would end up sitting watching YouTube anyway, so why not do something productive while I'm watching YouTube instead of just sitting there and mindlessly doing that? Now, I stumbled across this idea whenever I was in university, whenever my violin professor told me that he would watch soccer or football matches while he was practicing whenever he was young. This was something that really gave me some inspiration. And so I'm honestly a soccer fan, so I watched UEFA Champions League matches while I was practicing around the fall time of my first semester. Later on, though, I got more time. I started practicing in the mornings. So I normally watch YouTube now, or sometimes I'll pull up maybe Netflix, and if I have to listen to what I'm practicing, sometimes I'll put it on mute. But nowadays, I honestly see a lot of people practicing with something on. I have a lot of colleagues at my work where I do my teaching, and there's a lot of people that practice there in their free time, and they'll just have something on in the background. So now with number 2, this one might seem a little obvious, but it is practice songs that are fun to you. A lot of the time, we get caught up with a lot of the boring things that we need to practice. A lot of times, a lot of these things can be really hard, and sometimes we scoff at things that might be a little hard, and we don't want to practice them at all. Sometimes we should give ourselves time to play something fun. Every so often, you should probably go back to that song that you absolutely love to play, or play your scales that particular way that you really liked, or just playing something that you enjoy from time to time. Personally, I like to play a lot of old school pop punk songs like from Blink-182 or Green Day. And lately I've been actually playing some Deftones and some My Chemical Romance for fun, just during my practice session. A real quick 3-4 minutes playing a song just to kind of get my mind off the thing I was doing and then get right back into it after. And when I'm practicing violin, I might play Bach or something that inspired me whenever I played a recital way back when. Just something that will keep your mind off of your long, boring practice and make it bearable. Now, number 3 is a variation of number 2, and that is to take little breaks every so often during your practice session. I like to take 30 to 45 minutes during my practice session at the beginning for warm-ups. After my warm-ups, I'll take maybe a 5-10 minute break. I might watch a YouTube video. Maybe I'll play a game on my phone. I'll scroll through social media. Maybe I'll even play one of those songs that I was just talking about. Sometimes I like to keep myself engaged and just keep on playing. Sometimes I'll even walk downstairs from my practice room and I will go to my kitchen and I'll grab a snack and I'll take a second and go right back up and practice. A lot of that time can vary from session to session. Sometimes I don't even stop and I just keep on practicing because sometimes I think things are so fun that I'll just keep on practicing. But it really just depends on how your day is going and if you can fit that time in. But it is good to try and fit that time in every so often, especially during long, tedious practice sessions. My 4th tip is to try and spread your practice sessions throughout the day. At the beginning of my time in college, I normally had to spread out my practice sessions a good bit. I normally had some early morning and afternoon classes, and then I'd have my orchestra class around 3 o'clock, and then I'd have all the time late at night that I was free to practice. But I didn't want to take all that time at night to practice because I had other fun things I wanted to do. What I'd do is I'd divide my practice time up. I'd first take a little time before my early morning classes, maybe an hour, and I'd practice then. Then I'd practice a little bit in the afternoon after my morning classes before my orchestra class. And then I'd take time after dinner and maybe playing a video game or something, and I'd practice into the night. And then I'd go to sleep and I'd repeat the whole thing during the day. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do this, but if you're a person who's busy or your schedule is a little staggered, it might be good to do this. There are some days out of the week right now, whenever I'm teaching, that my schedule is a little staggered throughout the day. So what I'll do is I'll practice in the morning, then I'll take my time in the afternoon if I have some students in the morning and practice a little more. And if I still need to practice, I'll practice a little bit at night if I have to. But most of the time I can get a lot of my practice done in the morning and the afternoon before I teach a lot in the evenings. But you should try and block off your schedule and try and find some time to practice. Even if that's 5 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that, just take a little bit of time to get something under your fingers and practice. Exercising that muscle in your brain helps so much, even if you take just a little bit of time during your day, even if it's spread throughout the day. So my 5th and final tip is to plan out your practice to the T. Saying that you're going to practice is one thing, but planning out the exact place, the exact time, and exactly what you're going to practice is very different. Saying, I'm going to practice today is different from saying, I'm going to practice at 10 o'clock, I'm going to practice for 3 hours, and I'm going to practice this, and this. Those are two totally different statements, And the second statement is probably the better because you're actually planning out what you're going to do. I personally like to use some spreadsheets for my practice. I like to speed up my exercises because I'm an absolute speed freak when it comes to doing exercises. So I'll open up my spreadsheet and I've got my exercises listed, and I'll log my BPM every day that I practice. Every single practice, I have a different goal for what BPM I want to hit during that practice session. So I'll keep on working it up every single day, trying to keep the goals realistic and consistent. I might do the same thing with songs. Lately, I've been trying to learn a lot of Dream Theater songs, and their songs are kind of long, and I try to stagger myself with learning up to certain minutes. So I was learning Night Terror off their new album that came out this past weekend, and I would practice up to maybe the 5-6 minute mark. And then I'd say for next practice session, I want to get to 7 minutes or the 8-minute mark and try and get around there and just make sure that I have each section down every time and have that logged, whether that's in my head or in a spreadsheet like what I've got, and just getting there. But having that plan every day and having that consistency helps so much. And getting that consistency is the key to helping us grow and making sure that we get better every day with our practice. Okay. And that's it. That's my 5 tips for practicing. If there's one thing that you take away from this video, it's that practicing is so helpful. Training that muscle every single day is going to help you so much. So even if you get 5 or 10 minutes in a day, that's better than 0. Don't beat yourself up if you don't get practice in a day, because you can always go for tomorrow or the next day. Just making sure that you get it in is really great. But I do want to thank you all for watching today's video. This is something new that I'm trying out. If you guys liked it, please like, share, comment below what you thought, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you guys.